Again, I apologize for tonight. I just got off the football field in Mass. We were doing it indoors. Sorry for that. So I'm in my car. Next week we'll be a little more organized. Football fans are in New England. It's exciting times. High school football is now in 1 week. I know in the rest of the country they played high school football in the fall. With COVID, they did not play any high school football in New England. So in Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New York, Vermont, Maine, football starts next Tuesday. They're going to actually have high school football. So I hope that works out. We had a snowstorm about a week ago. I heard they're out plowing and shoveling the field. So hopefully that works out. So again, it's quarterback coach Todd Krueger. Thanks to Ron Roberts, Sports Fan Base Network, Rhode Island, to be host of the show. Elite Football Recruiting. Another night. Tonight we have our guest is Evan Throat. He was a high school coach. He does events with me. He does youth football. So I thought I'd bring him on, talk a little bit about football, what's going on in Mass. But again, I'm going to have Nick put up a picture. Nick, can you pull the picture up? This is every week I've been talking about Twitter and what your Twitter account needs to look like for college recruiting. So Nick, there we go. Thank you very much, Nick. Right on call. So this is an image. I don't know if you ever can see this. If you can't, you can go to my Twitter. I'm going to put this on my Twitter. I'm going to put this on my Facebook. I'm going to put this on my Instagram. So all this stuff, all this image will be up if you can't see it very well. The show is also taped, so it'll be up on YouTube tomorrow and also on Sports Fan Base Network, Twitter, and Instagram pages. So if you notice, this is a great example of what your Twitter should look like if you want to get recruited in college football. With no access for college coaches to leave school and do on-campus visits, they're using your Twitter account as the vehicle to recruit you. And so if you can see this, it talks about his name. You don't want to have some crazy name. You just want to have your name, and then that talks about you, not some nickname. The coaches don't know who that is. That might be good at your school, but those coaches don't know who you are. So you want to have your name. And then below, you're going to have your year, your position, your height, your weight, your grade point average, your SAT score. All that stuff wants to be in there. And then you want to have a huddle link, and the huddle should not be any more than 2 to 3 minutes at the most. And you want to have best wow plays first. If you're lucky enough to have 10 wow plays, put it. But a lot of times it might be 3 or 4. You're just trying to get the coach's attention when you do your Twitter on your huddle. And then after that, you want to put in your huddle any of your highlight tapes, your workouts. You know, if a lot of guys didn't have games this fall, so maybe you attended a showcase, or you went to a camp, or you got your own workouts with your private coach, or you're with your teammates or something, 7-on-7. Any highlights you have, you want to put that on there to show the coaches that you're working. And then your job is you got to put a little effort into this. You want to start the way we do it with my clients, my quarterback and football clients for academic elite football. We have them start with a dream list of 12 colleges that they might want to attend. And they're not going to be all FBS. And then once you have those 12 schools, you're going to want to find on their Twitter their Twitter handle. So let's just say Boston College. You're going to look for Boston College's Twitter page, follow that. Then you're going to want to follow the head coach. Then you're going to want to follow, if you're a quarterback, you want to follow the quarterback coach. Then you're going to want to follow the recruiting coordinator, you know? So all those different positions you're going to want to follow. And then you want to repeat that process for every single college that you're in. And then if you do something, you play 7-on-7, the schools you want to play, you want to go tag those coaches in your Twitter post. So because that's kind of how we want to do it. Again, I'll put this image up, but this is a really great example of how you want to have your Twitter. All right. And you got to put some effort in there to follow the coaches. All right. That's enough for the Twitter. Exciting times in New England. I've got a bunch of teammates, kids I train, who are getting ready for the season to start in 2 weeks. So what they're going to do is they're going to practice for 2 weeks, and they're going to start their first games in March. So it's going to be really unique here in New England, playing football in the wintertime. We just had 2 big snowstorms. Maybe 3 weeks ago, we got about a half a foot. And about 2 weeks ago, we got about another 6 to 10 inches, different places. So there's snow on the ground. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm here. You can still see the snow on the ground all over. So it's going to be interesting to see how the games play, how it works out. It's going to be great for the high school kids. All right, so enough of that. I'm excited for tonight's show. We're going to take a commercial break, Nick, and when we come back, we'll have Coach Evan on as our guest tonight. Take it away, Nick. Coach, what's going on, man?
How's it doing? How you doing, Coach Todd? Great to be here.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, great. Thanks for coming on, Coach Evan. Coach, we've done some events together, but the people who don't know you, why don't you tell them a little bit about your background of your high school and college? And I know you played a little bit of semi-pro, so tell the folks a little bit about your background in your football.
Sure. So I actually started playing football when I was in 8th grade. 4th grade. Played all the way through middle school, 4 years at Haverhill High. Unfortunately, got an injury my senior year. Wasn't able to play in college, but that was when I started my coaching career when I was 17. So I've been coaching football for this will be year 16 now.
Wow, Evan. You started coaching at 17. So Haverhill's in Massachusetts for the people who don't know. So we're going to try that. We're going to show earbuds. So he said a little static. We're going to get rid of those. Okay. All right. See if that's better. So, Evan, you said you started coaching at 17. Tell us that story.
Yeah, so after high school, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. My whole life it had been football all the time. Thought that's where my career was going to take me. So it was actually my dad had been coaching youth football in Haverhill since actually he was my first coach that I had when I was in 4th grade. And then after that, once I finished high school, I was kind of in limbo, didn't really know what I wanted to do. And he had practice one day, and he said, well, why don't you come down and check it out, see what you think? So I went down, checked out his practice, and the very next day I was coaching with him, and we coached together for almost 10 years.
Wow, that's exciting. That's similar to me. So your dad was a coach, and he got you into football. I had the same situation. My dad, Gil Krueger, was a high school, college pro coach my whole life. So I've been around football like you had the same thing. What was it like coaching at 17 years old? That's kind of unique.
Yeah, I was a little timid at first. I knew a lot about football, but it was still a lot of the coaches I was working with were much older. So a lot of them looked at me still as a kid. So it took a little bit to overcome that. But the more they saw me coach and the better I did, the more people started to respect me more as a coach. And after that, I wound up winning 6 consecutive league titles in a row, undefeated for 6 straight years.
That's pretty fantastic. That's interesting. So, what about your playing career? Didn't you tell me you played? Not that many people you were telling me, but you went to college and then you said you played semi-pro. Why don't you walk me through that whole process?
Sure. So that actually, the way it worked out was I was coaching youth football at the time, and I had a guy come in that wanted to coach with me and my dad. And he had actually, after coaching with us, had actually been given an opportunity to coach a semi-pro team, which is basically just anyone over the age of 18 that wants to play football. So it's pay to play. So I actually started my first 2 years I was a coach, which was funny because most of the guys I was coaching were almost twice my age. So after coaching for a few years, I decided, I kind of had the itch to play again. So I figured I would kind of go see the doctor, see what he thought, and said I was healthy enough to play. So sat down with my family, told them I decided I was going to put the clipboard and the whistle down, and I was going to pick up my helmet one more time. So I wound up joining a team in Manchester, New Hampshire. I played there for a few years, worked out with a lot of different teams in the New England area, and then actually started my own team with a friend of mine out of Woburn, Massachusetts, that we ran for a few years before too much of the semi-pro stuff was taking up my time. So I kind of stepped away from that to get into the regular, go back to the youth coaching. And that was when I actually started my own private coaching too.
So did you put a men's adult team together? Is that what you said?
Yeah, we actually we started our own team in Woburn. It was called the Woburn Warlords. So it was.
Actually, when you put your team together, how did you do that? Did you have like tryouts, and what were you looking for when you were like trying to get, or was it just anybody who could afford to pay was on the team?
So it really was anybody that could pay, pretty much. It's tough to find players, especially linemen. Those are very, very hard to find in the semi-pro game. But really what it came down to was, we looked for guys that played in high school but didn't get looks from colleges, things like that still wanted to continue their careers, or guys that got hurt in college, couldn't play anymore, but still wanted to play football. So it was really kind of a mixed bag. At one point, we actually had father-son duo playing. The dad was almost 60, played tight end, and his son was 18, who had just come on to play as a wide receiver with us. So we had a father and son playing together on the same team.
No freaking. What position was he playing at 60?
Tight end.
Tight end, say like quarterback or kicker or something.
No, yeah, he was a real physical guy in real good shape. Had real good hands. He was a big guy too, probably like 6'4", probably went about 250. So he was good size and still in real good shape for his age. He was in better shape than I was, I think.
That's impressive. Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. So, you and I worked together for about a year now. Nick, if you could pull up maybe one of the pictures. I met Evan, and he did some quarterback training with me as one of my coaches, and so I invited him to come coach at we had a showcase. Nick, can you bring that up? Any of those pictures? Can we grab any of those? There you go. So there's Evan on the right. That was at our academic showcase we had up in Milford, New Hampshire over Christmas break. Why don't you tell us about this picture, what's going on there, and what you thought of the showcase?
Sure. So, I mean, this was a great opportunity for these kids. I had a lot of fun. We had a lot of guys show up, a lot of different positions. So what you're seeing here is not only are we coaching, we're evaluating at the same time. So what we do is we give out a gift usually to the top quarterback that we coach for that day. So this was the guy that I had been working with most of the day, was really consistent, had a really good day, real good showing in front of a lot of college coaches. So this was our picture at the end of the showcase. As I said, these guys got a lot of exposure, got a lot of good work in too, and hopefully they learned as much from us too.
Yeah, I believe this quarterback's name was Ryan, right? Ryan Tomas,
Yes.
something like that. He's from down in the
Yes.
southern part
I
of
remember
Mass.
I called him by his last name, then his first name, and then he came up and told me I had it backwards when I said it to him. So
I can remember him. He's really dynamic, about a 5'11" quarterback who could really spin it. And it looks like, as I recall, we gave VP prizes because we had four different quarterback groups. We had about, I don't know, forgot, 30 some quarterbacks, but each group had a MVP got a brand new football, a new Wisconsin football. So I think that's what you gave me, correct?
yeah, that's one of the brand new GSTs. Yeah.
That's a nice little gift. That thing goes for about $90. So yeah,
Yeah,
we
those
had a
aren't
good
cheap.
Yeah, well, as a coach, football quarterbacks have to have football. They're not cheap. A real inexpensive one's $80, and the really fancy new ones with computer chips in them are $120. But I prefer the Wilson football. What about you?
Yeah, I like the Wilson balls. I'm more partial to standard leather than the GSTs like those ones, but these ones are really nice too.
Yeah, so that was a great turnout. Nick, I think we might have a couple another picture. There's another picture of yeah, there we go. So I think that's the same event. There's our coaching staff. What did you think of the guys? We had Coach Hunt on here, and Coach Cook came on the show. Um, you've been to 3 or 4. What's your feeling? You can lie to me. You can tell the truth if you want. Lie, tell the truth. It's up to you.
No, absolutely. I think it's a great group of guys. I mean, it's a real diverse group in terms of positions and where guys came from, their backgrounds as far as playing and coaching and things like that. So you get a lot of different coaching, but it's all helpful. And with having this many guys willing to help these kids out, I think it's great to have this many guys around that are willing to help kids like this.
Yeah, I have to say I was really blessed. I have great coaches that work with us at Academic Elite. Um, uh, Emerson, if you go from left, I'm in the blue sweatshirt. We got Emerson, we got Coach Pete, Coach Mark, Coach Derek, Coach Hunt, Coach Evan, Coach Moose, Coach Si.
Yeah, I think Asai and Ty both in there.
And Ty Neal, yes, I couldn't remember the last two. So yeah, and Ty Neal was the DB coach. So we had lineman coach, quarterback coach, because we had 4 quarterback coaches because we had such a big group. So my coaches that came are fantastic. A lot of these guys played college football, almost every one of them. One of my coaches coached at college football. Another guy playing Canadian football. Cy played in the NFL. I played in the NFL. So Emerson plays college football at Syracuse. So just I said that was a great group of coaches that we had there. And it was a lot of fun and enthusiasm. And did you get a chance to talk to any of the? So we had about 32 college coaches. For everybody didn't know it, we did the showcase. The whole idea behind the showcase was because there was no high school football. We ran this recruiting showcase for the high school kids to come, and then we invited college coaches to come watch them perform, and hopefully that get them recruited. So that was that process. Because normally they would do that watching the high school team, but they didn't have any games. So, what did you think of the whole setup with the showcase, and did you get a chance to talk to any of the college coaches there?
I did. I actually got to talk to a lot of the college coaches and the prep school coaches too. Like you were saying, with Mass not having football and a lot of the other surrounding states other than New Hampshire in the fall, this was really the only opportunity the coaches got to see the amount of talent that's in this area. And there is a lot. So, being able to come to a showcase like this and see, 150 kids where normally you may only get to see 5 or 6, especially when they really couldn't go see anyone. I think this was really helpful for a lot of them too, especially for guys that weren't even on their radar yet. So, we had a lot of underclassmen, freshmen, and sophomores that weren't really being scouted yet. So they got to see a lot of them that they normally wouldn't get to see it for a few years.
Yeah, we had seniors, juniors, sophomores, and freshmen. And I think so far from that, we've already had 8 guys got scholarship offers for college for the 2021 kids because it was really, as you know, it's really tough for the guys that were seniors who didn't get football season to get recruited, especially with the college coaches, with the COVID.
Absolutely. I mean, even with New Hampshire playing, they still had, I think some of our players only had like 3 or 4 games. Like Pinkerton, who's a New Hampshire powerhouse team, only got to play 3 games and didn't even get to qualify for the playoffs because they only played 3 games. So, some of the kids missed out on a lot this year.
Yeah, it was. It's a tough year. Yeah, you and I trained some of those kids from New Hampshire, and they said they only played like 3 games, so it's been tough. All right, so let's do a commercial break, and we come back. Evan and I'll chop some football up. Evan, thanks. Welcome back, everybody. Here at the Elite Football Show on Sports Fan Base Network, Rhode Island. I want to thank Ron Roberts and the crew. I want to give a shout out to Nick, our producer. Nick goes to school at Dean College. He's a young guy, loves sports. He loves hockey, loves football. He's actually in their broadcasting department at Dean, so I'm excited for him. He does a great job. So I think we have one more picture. Maybe when we were at, Nick, pull the other picture. We had the showcase at Westerly. What did you think? So you did 3 events this summer. You did that's the one in Westerly. This one maybe we don't have it. Don't have that one. You did the one in Carver, Mass, which was quarterback wide receiver showcase. Then we did the one in Westerly, which was all position, and then the one in New Hampshire. What did you think?
The one in Westerly was a lot of fun. With that one it was more combine style. So we were testing 40 times, verticals, which was kind of funny because Coach Marquise and I were doing the verticals, and I think we were the 2 shortest coaches there. So every time we see each other, we joke about it. That we were the 2 short guys testing everybody's vertical. But it was really impressive to see, we had guys from all over come out, and when these kids show up, they really know how to make a statement. And, we had, I think, 2 guys run sub 4.4 40s while we were there. And I think the highest vertical we had was like 33 inches that day. So it was pretty impressive with some of the players that we saw.
Do you remember? I remember the 2 guys and the 4 guys. One was Zion Tracy, and the other one was KO. Did you get to interact with those guys for a little bit or no? Because I know back then you had to travel with the same group. There was the rules. You had to stay with your group of players. Did you get to interact with either one of those guys that ran those 4.4s?
A little bit, but it was before they ran their 40s. I got them on the to test their verticals. I think T.O. had the highest vertical that day too. Yeah,
there was some real talent there. So what do you think about coming forward? What's your opinion about them playing football in February, March, high school football?
I think it's going to be tough, especially around here. I mean, there's still snow on the ground. It's still going to be cold. Playing in the fall, you really don't run into much cold weather until you hit, closer to Thanksgiving when you run into those 2 or 3 cold games at the end. So a whole season of that's going to be tough to make it work. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm an optimistic kind of guy, but I hope it works out. But I'm pragmatic about if you don't have a tough field, how are you going to practice? I mean, right now, you and I know you've helped me do some indoor training. It's pretty tough to go outside because the grass is frozen. So I just don't know how they're going to play, how they're going to practice, how they're going to play if they don't. What if they don't have a turf field? I mean, a lot of schools have turf fields and stuff, but what if your school doesn't have that? How are you going to be able to go?
Yeah, because there's still a good amount of schools that don't have turf. I mean, near me, just right around the corner, you got Timberlane High School up here in New Hampshire, and they don't have a turf field, and they finished their season luckily, but there's still a lot of schools in Mass especially that don't have a turf field. So playing on grass is going to be extremely, extremely tough to do.
Let's just you played high school, you played college football, you did the semi-pro, you coach at Haverhill, you've been coaching a long time with your dad. What suggestions would you give to all the high school kids about what's the most important couple of thoughts you could give about getting recruited to go play college football?
Number one is grades. Every college coach I ever spoke to, especially when it came to recruiting, the first question they asked me, what's your GPA? If you're slacking off in class, whatever you do on the field will not make a difference. Because if you are, you're walking around with a 1.5 GPA, well, Alabama could come talk to you and they can't do anything no matter how good you are with grades like that. So, make sure your grades are up. Keep yourself out of trouble, because the next thing they look at when they look at your grades is, are you a discipline issue? Have you been sent to the principal's office a whole bunch? Are you skipping school? Anything like that. This is what coaches look for. They want reliable guys that get what they need to get done so they're able to play. So, every kid I've ever coached, I always teach them there's three rules you got to follow. Number one is family. If you got issues at home, take care of what's going on at home first. Football always comes after that. Don't worry about that. Make sure your family's taken care of. Number two is school. If you're not doing what you're doing in school, you're not going to get to do anything anyway. So if you don't do one and you don't do two, the third is football. So if 1 and 2 aren't done, you won't get to do number 3. So take care of what you need to take care of. As I said, keep yourself out of trouble. Just even little stuff can be big for coaches, and be aware of what you post online. Because especially now with COVID, all these coaches are checking Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. Everything you have, they're going to check and find out.
Coach, that's great advice. We both work at Academic Elite Football, and that's kind of our mantra. We talk about it every time when we do one of our events, whether it's a quarterback event or an all-position showcase, how important grades are. That the higher the grade point, the more the athletic scholarship, the academic scholarship, the merit scholarship money they can give you. 3.0, 3.5. Yeah, I have a couple of kids in Rhode Island I train who are fantastic athletes, but their grades are like about 2.0, and I hear college coaches say they're going to have to go to a JUCO or a prep school to get their grades up, because I think you have to have a minimum of 2.2 on your core classes to even go to play college football. So, and the thing is, it's so competitive now. You don't want to be the guy that, well, we're not going to recruit you because of your grades. You don't want to hear that.
Yeah, and I mean the grades can help in other ways too. Where I had a kid that I coached as a quarterback, real good quarterback, but definitely not D1 level, but he was a very, very good quarterback. And he didn't really get a lot of looks, but he had great grades. He had a 3.9 GPA, and he wound up having Princeton come to talk to him and offered him a scholarship to play at Princeton. So may not be top notch when it comes to the football world, but you're going to get a degree from Princeton and be able to play 4 years at an Ivy League school, which is nothing to be ashamed of. That's for sure. A lot of people would kill to have a spot like that. So having good grades and being an okay athlete can do wonders for you too.
No kidding, Evan. I mean, maybe you remember the scandal they had across the country with these wealthy parents who were paying their kids these under-the-ground payments and taking their SAT scores and pretending they were rowers or swimmers or whatever, so they could get into those high academic universities like the Ivy League and Stanford and USC and Georgetown. So, yeah, up here in New England, we have fantastic schools with the Ivies and the Patriot League and the NESCAC. So grades are so important. What's your feeling on prep schools? People who are listening to the show who don't live in New England, a prep school is is almost like an extra year of high school. It's a preparatory school that they have in New England, and you get an extra year of high school. What's your viewpoint on prep schools, Coach?
I think prep schools are great. I mean, especially when it comes to being seen and or even just developing more skills. When you're at the high school level, you know, if you can get an extra year before you go on to college, it's almost like a redshirt high school year. So you get an extra year of training in. If you have not so great grades at the time you'd normally come out, you get that whole extra year to bring your grades up, make yourself more desirable to other coaches, and you know it can be a huge benefit.
Words of wisdom, Coach. All right, Nick, let's go do one more commercial break, and then we'll come back. We'll talk a little bit about the spring, summer we're going to be doing. I know you're going to be doing some 7-on-7 stuff. So we'll do that. Let's do one more commercial break, Nick, and we come back. We'll talk with Coach Evan a little bit about what he's got planned for the summer. Hey, we're back. We're here with Elite Football Recruiting Show on Sports Fan Base Network, Rhode Island. Great, Ron lets me host the show. Today we have Coach Evan from Haverhill. But you're not in Haverhill now, Coach. I can't remember. You keep telling me the name of the town. I can't remember it.
I live in Plastow, New Hampshire.
Plastow, New Hampshire. I'm not even sure where that is, but I'm sure if I looked on the map or on my cell, I'd find it.
Next time, it's the next town north of Haverhill, over the border.
Of Haverhill, Mass, in Plastow, New Hampshire, for the people who the show who are familiar with the area. So you and I have done some events in the past, and something that's kind of turned into a big thing now, especially with the COVID, is everybody needs to get some exposure. Is for the high school kids is 7-on-7, and so. You're familiar with 7-on-7. What's your viewpoint of kids doing 7-on-7 in the off season?
I think it's great being able to stay in a competitive mode like that almost year round, especially in the summertime. You know, it's not too demanding like a regular football season, but you're still going to get your workouts in. You're going to get some competition. You get to hone your skills a little bit better without being worried about getting hit.
So if you want to make an announcement, Evan I'm going to now kind of a cat out of the bag. Evan's going to be, I also own Academic Elite Football, LLC, and we're going to be starting our own, sponsoring our own 7-on-7 teams in Rhode Island, Mass, and New Hampshire. And Evan's going to be coaching one of those teams. So what do you think of that, Evan?
I think this is a great opportunity. I'm really excited for this. Flag football in and of itself, whether it's 5-on-5, 7-on-7, is really taken off. I mean, when I was a kid, you wouldn't see flag football on ESPN, and now they got, former pro players playing 7-on-7 on ESPN. So this is a big deal.
Yeah. So once the snow melts, we'll get you outside. You probably have a couple of tryouts.
Absolutely. I'll be looking for the best of the best. That's for sure.
Yeah, I know that there's going to be a 6-tournament series in New England for all the different teams. So Academic's going to sponsor a team in Rhode Island, in Mass, and New Hampshire. And so you might get a head start on, you're probably going to need about 14 guys. So we'll probably have a couple tryouts. And I know we're going to have some tournaments in all the different states. They have tournaments all over. We're partnering with the AAU, which is huge in basketball and tennis and the Olympics. Are you familiar with AAU sports?
Yeah, in this area, there's a lot of basketball, baseball, all different sports that AAU has in this area of the country.
Yeah, the whole baseball and basketball is huge. and so they're trying to expand into the football. And so I've gotten the rights to do all the AAU football in New England. So we're going to start doing AAU 7-on-7 tournaments starting in April. So I have one in April, May, June, July, and August before the season goes, and then high school season if they have it, hopefully. And then there's a national tournament in Las Vegas in either December or January. So there's a qualifier. So that's going to be kind of cool. I didn't even know. Did I tell you that? There's going to be a national tournament in Vegas.
I didn't know about the one in Vegas. I knew you were talking about one in Florida, but not Vegas.
Yeah, I think we're going to try one, but there's a national qualifier where we're going to put the winner gets to automatic go to in Vegas. So that's pretty cool. Let's switch gears a little bit. Super Bowl just ended a couple of weeks ago. What did you think of the Super Bowl?
I got to say, being from New England, it was amazing to see Tom Brady put another Lombardi on his trophy shelf. I got to admit, it hurts that he wasn't in Patriots colors, but it's the same thing. Just like when Ray Bork left Boston to join the Avalanche to go win a Stanley Cup, when they leave and win one, they still deserve it. And to be interesting, because I usually do a clinic with Rob Gronkowski every summer, a youth clinic that he runs every year. So it'll be interesting to see if he's going to run it down there in Tampa, or if he's going to come back here to do it. So,
so is he coming back for your youth clinic? That'd be the bomb with Gronk running. How was that? Tell that story. What was it like? Did you get to know? Was he just kind of standoffish, or did he hang out with all the coaches?
No, he's a great guy. Every year he does it. He brings his brothers with him. He brings his friends with him. He brings his party bus every year.
Whoa.
That's how I got to meet.
Whoa, back up. Party bus.
Oh, yeah. Rob has his own custom-made party bus that he brings every year. You can actually take a tour through the bus. He has it decorated on the outside, and he has a lot of Patriots memorabilia and stuff on the inside of it. It's a really cool bus.
Is it adult bus, or is it like kid-friendly? Like, come on, you know what I'm talking about, right? When you say a party
yeah,
bus.
no, it's kid-friendly. They took it's basically a big long bus. They got tables and stuff in it, party lights, everything's pretty PG. He does that. I think that's why he lets them actually go inside the bus. He keeps it clean.
You said PG. You didn't understand where I'm coming from. I'm like, okay, party bus, Gronk. I mean, he has this big party reputation, right? He's just this wild, crazy guy. So, but I
absolutely, yeah. There was actually the year for anybody that doesn't know, Rob actually owns a racehorse, and there was, I believe it was 2 years ago, his horse finished second in the Kentucky Derby. So the clinic he runs is usually 2 days. So he was there for the first day, then actually had to fly out for the Derby and then fly back. And they were actually trying to work it out. He was going to ride in on his winning horse into the clinic on day 2. They wound up nixing it, but that was the plan they were trying to come up with after his horse finished second.
Yeah, he's a pretty crazy guy. My viewpoint was, we did a clinic that Sunday up in New Hampshire, and we went around and asked everybody, who they were rooting for. And I was rooting for the Tampa. I mean, even though Tom left, I'm still a Tom Brady supporter. I just think he's such a hard worker, overachiever. Do we lose him? Evan, you still there?
Oh, I think we lost Todd. There he is.
Yeah, we're there. So
yep.
I was talking about Brady. He's such a great example he's such a 6th-round pick. Overachiever, super hard worker, and I was so happy for him. I wasn't sure they could stop Mahomes, but the defense played great. I don't think Kansas City played their best game, and congrats to Tampa.
Absolutely, Tampa was definitely ready for him. I mean, holding Patrick Mahomes to 9 points in the Super Bowl is impressive. And I mean, looking at his numbers through the first half, he was not doing very well that day.
Yeah, they put pressure on him, and it felt like the receivers dropped a couple of crucial throws, and they made him get off his spot. It seems like he was always scrambling. I think they played Kansas City earlier in the year, and Tyreek Hill just killed him, and I think they made major adjustments to shut him down.
Absolutely. He was almost a non-factor in that game. And, a lot of drops. And, I mean, Patrick Mahomes hits you in the face with a pass in the end zone, you better catch it. So, seeing how many they dropped it's tough to win a game when you got that many drops. That's for sure.
Yeah, I can recall Tyreek Hill. I mean, they were tough catches. These weren't basic catches. I mean, they would have been good catches. But, I mean, you're in the Super Bowl. And all season long, those guys have been making those catches, They had that high-flying offense. So, Tyreek held one in the end zone. Remember, Kelsey dropped like a 17-yarder on 3rd and 15. And then I think it was Merkel had one in the end zone, or maybe it was Sammy Watkins where he did the one where he was almost when he threw it. You know what I'm talking about, where Mahomes would throw it? And he did like a triple scramble, and he just heaved it, and then like somehow got to the receiver and bounced right off his face mask.
Yeah, they said Mahomes rushed for almost 500 yards just trying to run away from defenders that day.
That's a great one. So what's your opinion of Tom Brady?
I got to admit, Tom Brady has got to be one of my favorite football players of all time. I always hear the story about him after he got drafted, went up and shook Robert Kraft's hand. And he goes, I just wanted to introduce myself. And Robert Kraft, he goes, do you know who I am? And Robert Kraft says, yeah, you're the 6th-round draft pick we took out of Michigan. And Brady says, that's right. And I'm the best decision this franchise has ever made. And he was right. 6 Super Bowls later and 2 decades of dominance is tough to dispute.
I don't know if I told you the story, because I tell a lot of stories when we get together training. I got to work with Tom Brady's private quarterback coach, Tom Martinez, before he passed away, died about 4 years ago. Now he works with Tom House. But I worked with FBU for 3 years, and I got to do 3 camps with Tom Martinez. And I, as a quarterback coach, I knew who he was. And so I don't know, when I got to the camp, maybe other people know who he was, but I knew he was Tom Brady's private quarterback coach, especially since, I live in New England. So I was like a little kid. I shadowed him everywhere I went, and by about the 3rd one, he goes, not you again, because I was peppering the coach about asking him about how he thought Tom and all this stuff. And then finally he said, you know what? He goes, if I come to Boston, would you like to meet Tom Brady? I'm like, yes. I was like a little kid. So he came in one time, he gave me a call, and I got to go meet Tom and get to talk to him. It was pretty awesome. I have to say, it was pretty. I mean, I'm a grown-up old guy, but I was pretty impressed to meet Tom Brady and shake his hand and talk to him.
Well, anybody that lives in New England, it'd be tough not to be impressed with Tom Brady around.
Well, I think,
but it is kind of funny hearing Tom Brady has a private quarterback coach. You'd think a guy like that doesn't need one, but he does.
Oh, that brings us. So you've done you do some private quarterback training. Tell me a little bit. I know you specialize in the kind of quarterbacks. You do some stuff with academic elite. What do you look for in quarterback? What do you think the skill sets are for quarterbacks that they got to have?
So as far as skill set goes, you got to have good feet. Your footwork, your mechanics. Little things like that can make a huge difference. And just your attitude, the way you carry yourself, not just during games, but during practice, during the off season, anything revolving around football. When you're working, you got to be focused on it 100%. And you got to be an accurate quarterback. You don't have to be able to throw the ball a mile, but if you can complete 49 of 50 passes inside of 40 yards, that's much more impressive than being able to throw the ball 80 yards through the air.
Yeah, that's good advice. We talk about accuracy over velocity, a lot of guys. So I don't know if you see my hat? Can you see my hat, the insignia on the top there?
I can. I see the Buffalo Bills logo there.
Yeah. So, these guys have all heard my stories. They're probably sick and tired of my stories. But for you guys that don't know, I got drafted. I played for the Buffalo Bills. I had a cup of coffee. So I've had the Buffalo Bills paraphernalia stashed away for like, I don't know, 20 plus years, because they haven't been good in a long time. I mean, they haven't beat the Patriots forever. So what do you think of Buffalo Bills, and what do you think of Josh Allen, the quarterback?
I think Josh is a great story. He's a great player. He worked his way through the system. He had no offers coming out of high school, went to JUCO for a year, and then wound up at Wyoming. And made it as far as he did, won some huge games, and he's going to be a force to be reckoned with in the AFC East for the next few years. That's for sure.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're both Patriot fans. We live in New England, but unless the Patriots I just think the Patriots need better skill sets. Their skill players need to improve. I see Buffalo being the dominant team in the AFC East for the near future.
Absolutely, especially after this year. I don't see the Patriots rebuilding all that fast. I mean, they got to find, I hate to say it, they got to find another quarterback. I don't think Cam is the guy. So, they're going to have to find a new guy and build around him. Buffalo already did that. They got their guy. They've started to build around him. Bringing in Diggs and some of these other guys that they found, they're just going to add more and more weapons, and they're going to be a very, very dangerous team.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm playing, paper GM for the Patriots, they need a quarterback, a younger quarterback that can develop, because you get them cheap, you're going to get them under the salary cap, and then they need an A1 receiver like Diggs. All the receivers like 3s and 4s. We don't even have a 1 or a 2. We need a tight end. So, we need more offensive weapons, and I think Buffalo and Miami is both those teams are on the rise, so it's going to be a challenge for the Patriots. But we've been kind of spoiled. We've been like the champs for 20 years.
Yeah, it's tough when basically by about week 9 or 10 they go, okay, the Patriots won the AFC East again. They've clinched a playoff spot, and they'll finish in one of the top 2 spots. So, when you get that for so long, and then you really got that fall off once Tom left, and all these other teams now all have young quarterbacks, whether it's Darnold, Tagovailoa, or Josh Allen, just those 3 guys with all the weapons they have around them, and a lot more talent coming out in the draft this year, especially at wide receiver and tight end are going to be some big areas, and that's where the Patriots need some help too.
Yeah, I think what we talked about before, the development of these 7-on-7 leagues and tournaments and stuff have really accelerated the high school skill sets to transfer to the college level and the pro level. I mean, I'm a little older than most people, but it usually had to wait your turn in the NFL. Now you got guys coming right out of college and they're like the superstar. And these receivers are coming out and the quarterbacks are coming out. Usually it took 3 or 4, Aaron Rodgers had to sit behind Brett Favre, but now quarterbacks are coming in as rookies and they're playing and they're so used to running a hurry-up offense or audibling, and the defenses is just amazing. And I just think that a lot of it is from the explosion of flag football and the 7-on-7s.
Absolutely. I mean, you see like Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, those guys coming out. Those 2 may be the most pro-ready quarterbacks coming out of college, and most of the stuff I saw of them first were them playing 7-on-7s all over the country. So, being able to use that as kind of a jumping off point and then right into college and into the pros. And I honestly think it's better if you get to sit behind a guy that's been in the league for a year, kind of like what Green Bay did with Aaron Rodgers, or even Mahomes sitting behind Alex Smith for a year, giving them that year to develop, get used to the game a little more, and then you put them in, and look what Kansas City's turned them into. So being able to develop a little more once you get there, I think is good too.
Yeah, so I'm excited about, again, Evan's going to be playing a 7-on-7 league and tournaments. He's going to have his own team. So go on to Academic Elite FB, Academic Football on Twitter. So at Academic Elite FB, Twitter and Instagram. There'll be more information. If you want to know about the show today, go to YouTube on Sports Fan Base Network Rhode Island. They've got some really cool stuff coming up. I'm excited to be partnering with them and working with them to be the host here. And I want to thank tonight for running our show and Evan for being on the show. Thanks so much. I apologize for coming from my car. I'll be behind the laptop next week, but couldn't help wanting to train the kid one more time. Again, Evan, thank you. Nick, thank you. And we're out for tonight.
All right, thanks.